Okay, so my last video I did in regards to transitioning my 2-year birthday was not the best, I don't think, but I wanted to do a video kind of talking about my experience being a trans man and kind of what it's like, I guess, from my perspective and what I've experienced, but also things I feel like other trans people can relate to. Um, this is the intro. This will probably be a long video, but the things I am going to discuss, well, I'm doing okay right now neurologically. I feel like I can do this video. I want to discuss my childhood, what it was like as a teenager, in my 20s, can't read my own writing. Parenting before coming out, how things changed in 2020 when I realized I was transgender, and kind of what took so long to figure it out. 2021, coming out socially, and my friends and family's reaction, including my daughter's reaction, how things were when I started testosterone, February 2022, some respectful questions I've been asked, and some disrespectful questions I've been asked, and I feel like are disrespectful to ask a lot of trans people. Also about stigma and hate, and also what it's being like being transgender, homeless, and chronically ill, and then the conclusion. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video, and this is the intro. And so yeah, stay tuned if you're curious about some things. And like I said, it'll be kind of long, but here we go. Hi, okay, so this might take a couple days to do. Actually, it depends on timing and my symptoms, but like I said in the intro, I'm going to start out with my childhood, right? So I did not know what transgender meant as a young child, and but I always felt like a boy in a way, and I didn't really know what that meant. And I had a lot of, not boyfriends like dating, but like friends that were boys, and I enjoyed activities like rolling around in the dirt and playing karate in the garage and go-kart riding. And as a young kid, there were boys that accepted me, but then there were other boys who were like, ew, cooties, like, don't play with us, you're a girl, go away. And I felt a lot of pressure to wear dresses, like, because I was born AFAB, which means assigned female at birth. And my parents would put dresses on me and stuff, and I didn't really like it, but I kind of went along with it because I thought I was supposed to, because everyone said I was a girl. I preferred to play with things like Legos and I don't know. I'm reading my notes so I don't forget anything. I did play with Barbies because people would constantly give me Barbies, and my mom said it was weird because I would pull their heads off and cut their hair real weird, and anyway. But I remember really wanting like Legos and action figures and stuff, but I felt like since I was told to be a girl, I tried playing with more girly things. I was also into video games like Sega and Sonic. Goes to show how ancient I am. But anyway, next up is puberty in my teenage years. female puberty was really confusing and actually really traumatizing. Uh, Breast development was awful. I remember when I first started getting them, I wanted them cut off immediately. Made me really insecure about my body, and I hated it. And I remember telling one of my therapists I wanted to cut them off, and it was just, and I hated, you know, periods were awful, and just really traumatizing. And also, I experienced a lot of gender dysphoria, and I didn't know what that meant. I just know I really didn't like my body, and at the same time, society and everyone was pounding in my head to be a girl, right? And even though I didn't know what transgender was as a teenager, I knew about cross-dressing and drag queens and stuff. And I hung out with the queer crowd, but I had never yet to meet a transgender person at the time. I hung out with a lot of gay and bisexual friends, and I started experimenting with men and women, and I really didn't enjoy women, and I preferred men, but it was really confusing because I felt gay, right? But just like I couldn't get into it with women, and I had a preference for men, and the whole society's pressure to be feminine and wear makeup, which I hated makeup unless it was like for Halloween, or my friend at the time who was gay, he was like really into doing makeup, and we would and take photo shoots and stuff where he'd do my makeup because I really sucked at it, and he'd do his, and then like we do these really cool like photo things that we would edit and like art type stuff. I really only liked makeup during Halloween, and it was another excuse to, I guess, dress more masculine and wear like Halloween makeup and stuff. And I did go through this goth phase and this punk phase. The punk phase never really, it kind of kept going into adulthood. But anyway, I started secretly cross-dressing and not telling anybody, just cross-dressing and like going out and trying to feel comfortable, I guess, and just not really telling anybody because I don't know, I was confused. Like, I was afraid my friends would judge me, and I hung out with the LGB, but I didn't know what the T was at the time, and this isn't like high school was like in the early 2000s, and my childhood was back in the 90s. I was born in '89, so I felt like I related a lot to the queer crowd, but it was confusing, and at the time I didn't realize I was a gay man, so that's why I kind of experimented around. And I remember I would go back and forth, like, oh, I'm a lesbian, oh, I'm gay, oh, I'm bi, like, I couldn't, or not lesbian, gay, straight, like, I couldn't figure it out, and I kept coming out as all these different orientations throughout my teenage years, and I just couldn't figure it out. And on to my 20s up next. In my 20s, I would secretly cross-dress still, and I still had a lot of dysphoria, and I was really unhappy with my body. I hated looking in the mirror, and I still had all this pressure from society to be feminine and stuff, right? But then I started, trying to feel good about myself, wearing baggy and or men's clothing, and I would I stopped shaving my legs. Oh, shaving was awful, and I felt pressured for so long to shave. But I stopped shaving, trying to feel better, about myself. And society still pushed femininity on me. Like, why don't you wear dresses? You're such a good-looking woman. Why don't you show off your legs? Like, you have so much. You're already good looking. Why don't you show it off? Why are you wearing these baggy and men's clothes? And I really didn't like that. I didn't like, I was just trying to be myself and find myself. And in 2017, I gave birth to my kid, and I left an abusive relationship. I pretty much single parented her whole life. And so far, my situation's complicated. We were attached at the hip up until September, but then, I had to have someone else look after her because I ran out of resources at the time and was homeless, and my chronic ailments were starting to escalate. But anyway, let's go back to 2020. In 2020, things really changed. I had dated a trans guy for the first time, and I learned that transgender existed, and there was more than drag queens and cross-dressing. And I didn't even think about trans men, and it was all, it was just mind-blowing. And I dated him for a while, and he told me all about, binders and transitioning, testosterone, and it made me realize, transgender men and transgender women existed. The whole trans thing was real and valid, and everything in my life started to click and make sense, right? And I ended up looking more into it, and I started watching some transgender channels, of other trans men and their transitions, like Jamie and Noah, which I'll put their links in the description. I watched a lot of their videos, and they were really helpful. And I also look more into it in other ways. And shout out to Jamie and Noah, by the way, even though they're never gonna probably watch this, but their videos really help get me through. And I was that's why it took until my 30s to realize I was transgender, and I was scared to come out, so I sat on it for a year trying to gather courage. And I was really scared about what people would think, my friends and family would think. And so yeah, moving on. In 2021, I came out socially in 2021, and I actually shaved my head as a rebirth when I came out. And I started really dressing more masculine. I got my first binder, and my friend and family's reaction to coming out socially were kind of mixed. First of all, I came out to my kid, and she was really pure. Children are pure. Hate is taught, and it's she was so accepting about it and started calling me dad right away. She still loved me the same, and she's like, I love you, dad. I still love you. And it was really an emotional moment, and it made me feel real good that my kid was just so open to it and loving, and nothing changed in our relationship. Even though I was now dad, she was totally cool with it, and so that was really awesome. I love my baby. And as for my friends and family reactions coming out socially, everyone was shocked and surprised, pretty much. and I don't understand how. I guess because I did look really feminine, and apparently I was hot. And even though I wore baggy clothes, I did look, I hated it. I looked really feminine, and so everyone was surprised and shocked, but I don't get how. Like, I feel like in hindsight, it was obvious from childhood up. And most of my friends were guys growing up. Once the cootie thing was over with, or queer, and I always related more to guys and gay men, so I hung out with them more. And but people were still shocked and surprised. And the friends, and I still have to this day, even though my friends are limited, but like, I had to cut a lot of people off for different reasons. Like, some were really cool, and started working on the pronouns and Tom, and really put effort into being respectful, because they were friends with me for who I was, and they understood that even though I was changing physically, I was still the same person, that they knew as a friend. And I also lost a lot of friends over it. A lot of them thought I was crazy or confused. I remember them being like, "Are you sure?" And I actually lost friends over it. And one of my friends of 3 years, who even had a lesbian daughter, it kind of hurt, because when I came out to her, she's kind of stopped talking to me and was weird about it. And I remember her first comment was, "Why would you do that to yourself? You're such a pretty woman." And it's like, ouch, and I didn't feel pretty. I wanted to feel handsome. I hated my body and how I looked, and I was serious about it, so that was, that kind of sucked. I first came out to my dad, and he was totally accepting about it, like, right away, and he started working on it. Took a while, but he put effort into using the right pronouns and calling me Tom and stuff. Whereas my stepdad, however, he still dead names me to this day. And side note, ignore this. I put my cigarettes out and cigars out with my fingers, because I have any nerve endings in them. And sorry, it's gross. I should have washed my hands. But anyway, yeah, my stepdad, I don't think he's cool with it for how he acts, and the whole dead naming thing, doesn't put any effort into it. But in the beginning, it's like he enjoyed the clout, bragging about it, I guess. But he's just, yeah, I feel like he's transphobic. He just likes getting clout. But anyway, my mom passed away before I came out, but I feel like she would have been totally accepting. She really loved me, and no matter what, and I feel like she would have been totally alright with it if she were around. So let's move on to February 2022. I got my first injection of testosterone. I finally got hooked up, got to go to transgender clinic, and through my journey on testosterone, the last 2 years, I started to get more and more comfortable in my own skin, and that gender dysphoria turned into euphoria. Even though I still have moments of dysphoria, I get a lot of euphoria with the beard, and how testosterone actually makes, like, it distributes your fat in your face and stuff, and makes it more masculine. You get, muscles development is different. You go from an X shape to more of a Y shape, which is great. And it really, the beard, oh my gosh, it's still coming in 2 years later. It comes in dark around here for some reason, but my mustache and stuff, and the little hairs that are starting to fill in around here, want to come in blonde, so I dye those a lot just to make them more noticeable, like every month, and match this part. And I'm never gonna shave the beard. I may trim it up. My neck beard, gets like Santa Claus long, so I trim up the neck beard. It's powerful. It comes in real quick, but the body hair is great. I love it. My arms are finally starting to get real hairy, and I love the hair. And as for the sexual orientation part, since a teenager, like, I was trying to figure out who I was, and like I said, I felt like I was gay, and I didn't like being a woman, but I came out as lesbian as a teenager because I did mess around trying to understand these gay feelings, and then I come out as straight, and then I come out as bi, and then I just like couldn't figure it out, and because I didn't know what transgender was back then. And even after starting testosterone about a year in, I was thinking maybe I was bi, but I realized how I'm just not into women, and it made more sense that I was a gay man, and that just made the rest of my life make even more sense why I had those weird feelings growing up. And yeah, I'm a gay man, and a year later, after coming out as gay, yeah, I'm confident, I'm comfortable in that. That makes so much more sense. And it was funny because I remember being at the dinner table with my dad, and I had already come out as trans, and then I come out as a gay dude, and my dad's just kind of like, like, are you sure this time? I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm gay, a gay dude. And it was kind of funny. And it was great when I finally started passing about a year in, and now I really pass. And if people don't know that I'm trans, they don't assume it. They see me as a man, which is great. I want to be seen as a man because I am one. And I've noticed, I've become a lot of people's first trans guy friend or transgender friend. And so, on to the questions I've been asked. So, when I started making friends, especially after I started to pass, I appreciate the people who ask more respectful questions that were genuinely curious, and if they would say, I'm not trying to sound offensive, you're just the first trans friend I had, and I just had some questions out of curiosity. And so they made it clear that they weren't trying to be offensive, they were just genuinely curious. And so I was all for like educating and stuff. And some of the questions, that were asked were, what made you realize you were trans, and how did you get the beard, why did you pick the name Tom, what is transitioning like, and kind of questions like that I was very happy to clear up and answer. And but there were some questions asked and like some disliked responses, and I feel like a lot of trans people, not just me, could relate to this kind of thing. And for example, some friends I made, I totally passed and stuff, and when I came out they were like, oh my god, I had no idea. But then they would go on to say, after saying they had no idea, was, oh, I knew, I could tell it in your eyes or in your voice or whatever, or something. And it's like, okay, let's I made me feel good that I passed, and you didn't realize, but don't go on to say, oh, you could tell. No, you couldn't tell at first. But what mattered was the respect and stuff. And some friends asked that, but then there were some people that found out that were more disrespectful about it. I had people that found out that were like, oh, I thought you were evil, or um, stuff like that. And one of the worst things I get a lot when someone finds out is, do you have a vagina? I can't tell you how many times I have been asked that. None of your business. It's my body, it's my business. I'm not transitioning for anyone but myself. Don't ask a trans person about their genitals or what we look like naked. It is none of your business, and it's really offensive, and that it's none of your business, okay? And especially asking questions about our bodies like that is really offensive. And now on to some of the stigma about I've noticed about trans people, and what I've experienced too. Stigma and kind of going on into hate. It's kind of combined. Like, some of the stigma is that like transgender people are perverts, which is not true. We are not perverts. We are not transitioning for anyone but being ourselves, being comfortable in our own skin, and feeling happy and satisfied with ourselves more. And really, society and transphobe people obsess more about our genitals and what we look like naked than we even do. But and we're just trying to be comfortable in our own skin, and our transition is for nobody else but us. So yeah, society and transphobic people are the real perverts because they're so obsessed with that stuff. And yeah, it's just stop. Let us be who we are and happy. I don't understand why people are so bothered. And we get and want surgery, or maybe not all trans people, but a lot of trans people get surgery because it's another part of helping us feel comfortable in our own skin, and you don't need to know what kind of surgeries we have or haven't had. That's private, and unless, I guess, like, you're planning on getting intimate with somebody, then if surgery is a factor, like, maybe bring it up. But there's also that fear of hate or getting hurt, or coming out to people in general, because yeah, all the stigma and hate out there. And never out a trans person, especially if they're not open about it, or just, you don't have to. If they're out and open about it, cool. But for me, I've experienced a lot of hate and stigma, so I'm not open about it in public around here. I have my YouTube channel, like other trans men and women, to educate and kind of show the perspective, but I'm really not out. And I only open up to people that I can trust, or I think I can trust, which I'll get to a part of that in a bit, because there were times when I came out to the wrong person and it backfired, and I got outed, and it resulted in really bad things happening. And also adding to this, dead naming a trans person is very offensive and just mean. And what I mean by dead name is, purposely using the name that a trans person had at birth. For a lot of trans people, it's really hurtful. For me, it's like a dagger to the heart when I get dead named. Um, and a lot of trans people change their names more gender oriented to, you know, the gender they identify as, and a dead name is a name that you were given at birth that you really had no choice in. So I plan on changing my name to Tom, and I don't like letting people know my dead name, because the people who have found out my dead name that were more disrespectful about it, or would bully me and throw that at me, which is not cool. Don't dead name a trans person. But personally, I identify as a gay man, and I want to drop the trans part. I want to finish my transition. I legally changed my gender so far, but I still got to change my name and stuff. And but I just want to be seen as a gay man. Not that I'm not, proud of being trans or anything. I know transgender is a part of it, but I feel like a gay man, and transitioning is just a part of it, and I'm not ashamed to be trans. I just want to be seen as a normal, well, maybe not normal. I'm not very normal, but a gay guy. And and when it comes to like outing a trans person or opening up to the wrong person, I had someone who I thought was a friend, and I had come out to him with my secret, and he seemed cool about it at first, and I thought we were bros, and but he ended up telling a lot of people, and he apologized, but like it didn't. I told him not to. It didn't matter. He apologized, but after that, we kind of talked it out, and there were red flags I should have seen, but I didn't at the time, and I thought we were still bros. And he said he wouldn't tell anyone else, but too many people found out, and he told this one guy that he was rooming up with, and I ended up getting led into this trap. In October of last year, I was on the streets and sleeping under a bridge, and him and his friend, I was on the phone. He called to check on me, and it was cold, and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna go save Tom," right? So they come and pick me up, and I go to this house, and but it turned into, in hindsight, it was a setup. Like, they tried to get me to do this porn I didn't want to do, and I said I didn't want to do it, and his friend was really transphobic, and I remember him getting in my face how they beat the woman out of me, and getting slammed into the fridge, and then I don't have much memory because my skull got cracked that night, and I don't even remember being found on the side of the road and going to the hospital or anything. That's what these scars are from. And so yeah, that happened. Moving on to what it was like being homeless and trans, and also, I'm going to add on the chronic illness part. It's been rough when I get found out, people are hateful, but I got a lot of trust issues now that I already had trust issues before. But then I really, like, I haven't come out to a new friend since, really, and on the streets and stuff, and I've made new homeless homies that I love from a distance, and they don't know, and they we're bros, and they don't need to know, but they're cool with me. And I'm really only public on this channel that a lot of people don't know about. This is my creative outlet. I want to be able to express myself and also spread awareness about certain topics like transitioning, being homeless, and chronically ill, and also like cool videos for my daughter to leave behind if I were not to make it through this, when she's older, some she could look back on. And but anyway, being chronically ill and in and out of the hospital just to be tossed back out onto the streets was rough, trying to find placement. My doctors were trying to find placement for some kind of nursing home or something, so I stopped getting tossed back out into streets, because they're on the streets and in the woods. My health, I was chronically ill before we lost the health or the house, and my health has greatly deteriorated, like, since being on the streets and stuff. And the skull fracture made my neurological issues worse, and also I have a chronic bladder issue and seizures, and but just side note, transitioning did not play a role in my chronic health. It did not play a role at all. Some people ask, like, oh, did transitioning make you this messed up? No. The skull fracture made me this messed up. The chronic illness that I had before, and being on the streets and in the woods, unable to get to appropriate treatment, and having my medicine stolen, and like it made it worse. And trying to find placement, like, at first they were looking for a nursing home to recover in, and I got turned down for various reasons, and a couple places were rude about it. I was blocked from getting in somewhere for being transgender, even though I'm legally male and they don't have to dead name me, but I have to get my own private room, and which they don't really have around here. Private rooms, they kind of like put two people in one room in a lot of places, and they have to accommodate, which, I mean, I could understand, like, they don't have to dead name me or anything. I could, I'm legally male, I'd be on the men's unit. I don't mind having a guy roommate, but I also understand, like, maybe they're worried about, hate crimes and stuff. But also there was this one place that was just straight up offensive about it. I tried to get into, and they said they couldn't take me because there's a men's bathroom on the men's unit that all the men share, and I would make the other men there uncomfortable. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, I'm pretty sure there's a stall. Men may pee in front of each other, but they don't shit in front of each other, so I'm pretty sure I could just use that stall. And I'm pretty sure there are shy men who don't want to pee in front of others, so they gotta have a stall in there that I can use, right? And they don't have to just dead name me or out me. I'm legally male, I look like a dude, and they don't have to dead name me. And that was messed up. That was straight up transphobic. I'd make the other guys uncomfortable. But anyway, the bathroom thing is an issue for a lot of trans people. I understand, and when trying to find placement to recover, that has been an issue. And I'm still learning to love myself, and I love myself more after transitioning, and I'm way more comfortable in my own skin, despite everything. you can't beat the woman out of me. There was never a woman there to begin with. I cannot relate to women. I mean, I can empathize having to live that life, you know. And I've seen both sides of what it's like being a woman and a man. I can empathize, but, you know, my whole life I really struggled to relate to women in the sense I relate more to men, but I also empathize as women. You know, well, I empathize with women as having been there. And so, on to the conclusion. So in conclusion, I am a seahorse dad, and my kid loves and respects me, and I love her so much. And you know how male seahorses give birth, you know, I'm her seahorse dad, and I love how she's totally accepting. I'm not gonna change my mind about transitioning, and no one else can change my mind, and I don't care if someone doesn't like it. And I love myself more and more the more I transition, and the beard is great. And you know, my kid is my priority in life. And between her, she's my number one. But also transitioning is very important too. So, you know, between being a seahorse dad and transitioning, those are very important to me and my well-being as a person. You know, despite the chronic illness and homelessness, you know, my kid in transitioning makes me want to keep going. And as for an update on homelessness and being chronically ill, it's looking like I'm probably going to go to the woods on Monday. I don't know. I've called around. I'm trying. This program ran out of funding, and I have to be out by Monday. So I called a few numbers, you know. Well, I've been calling, trying to figure something out, and no luck so far. But I have a tent. My doctors worry I won't survive in the woods at this point. Even though I was able to do it before, my health is so bad. They're afraid I'm not going to make it, but I'm pretty hard-headed. So I think that will get me through, despite everything. And I'm going to keep fighting. And I'm not going to give up. And also, here's the end. I'm actually going to throw in my email. If anyone, this is the only time I want to do this, because I feel like I want to get some transphobes emailing me. But I have made a special email for any suggestions for future videos and questions regarding being transgender or chronically ill and homeless, or, you know, being a parent, a seahorse dad. And I want to list the email below in the description too. And I just made it. I already forgot it. And so anyone who's curious, my email is 70fttom.u, like the letter U, and then tube@gmail.com. And I'll put that in the description with the other stuff if anyone's watching and has some questions. And if I get any hate in the emails, I don't care. I'm probably gonna just delete those and move on. But if you stay tuned through all this, thank you. I'm just kind of trying to spread some awareness while I have a moment. After Monday, I might not be as active on YouTube, and YouTube's not my top priority, but I do enjoy making videos and stuff. So yeah, thank you. Have a good one.